Howdy folks, and welcome back to the homestead. Today's video is all about fencing. I shouldn't say all about. The subject of this video is fencing. We're replacing some of these fence posts. Just about every wooden post on our property is rotted through, kind of like what you see there. That's the part that came out of the ground, and they're just rotted off right at ground level. That post that I was holding there is the one that you see on the left side of the screen. The one on the right was already there. We didn't replace it, but we are installing a new H-brace assembly. And we're doing that because the end game for this run of fencing is to stretch a woven wire sheep and goat fence over this. So when you do that, you need an H-brace at the end of your fencing runs so you can stretch that fencing tight. And if you didn't have the H-brace, it would just pull those end posts out of the ground. So I check it level with a string level, and now I'm drilling holes in the post to accept the brace pins that will hold the horizontal brace member, the H part of the H, I guess, the center part of the H, that'll hold that up. Doing my best to keep that bit nice and level. It's hard to do when you're working by yourself, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just don't be completely terrible. This one doesn't have to go all the way through. It just goes, it's a 5-inch pin on this side. The other side was a 10-inch pin. So this is 2.5, somewhere in that neck of the woods. Now I'm measuring that horizontal beam, member, post, whatever you want to call it. And now I mark that on this 5-inch post. And start, basically cut it all the way around with a circular saw. And then we'll finish that cut with a reciprocating sawzall. Next step, we'll take that same drill bit and drill the holes in the end of this post that will accept the brace pins that we just did on the other post. Again, trying to keep that bit nice and straight when you're going in. I'm using that blue tape trick. I picked that up off YouTube. When you need to drill to a specific depth, measure the depth on your bit, wrap a piece of blue tape, painter's tape around it like a flag, and then just stop drilling when the tape hits your material. Now we're ready to throw this post in. We'll put that short pin in on that side. The long pin is already in the other post, and we'll tap it through once we get everything lined up here. And to finish this H-brace assembly, we'll run a diagonal tension wire from the gate side of that post on the right. It'll be low on that side and run up high over the that long pin that's sticking out. We'll have about an inch left over on that pin after I use my percussive persuasive device to get that horizontal member lined up. If I'd had a ratchet strainer on hand, we would have gone ahead and installed that tension wire, but I didn't, so let me just get by here. And that post does not look level, but it is. That ground slope's pretty bad. And this is just another close-up view of what we're working with here. That post is rotted off in the ground, and you just can't even see the other. The rest of it's just buried in the dirt. So we'll start digging. We were drilling with a start with a shovel. We'll alternate between that and then a digging and tamping bar, and then the post hole diggers once we get down far enough to really use them. You saw me pick that rock up It's not terribly rocky. I mean, it's just mostly dirt, and every now and then you'll hit a decent sized little rock, and it's much harder to dig around that post that's rotted off in the ground, and that's probably the main reason why we couldn't use a gas-powered auger. I didn't want to move the fence, and so just reusing those same post holes made the most sense, even if it's more work. We took this stretch of fence down months ago, and getting into this, did not realize how much work it was actually going to be. So we put it off and finally kind of got some initiative to do this. And so I kind of cashed in on that initiative and just did as much of it as I could stand. Got done, and now that this project is done, I don't plan on doing any more of it for a while, even though we don't get a chance to run the sheep and goat fence. It's good enough to keep the cow inside, which is good enough for right now. There's a small rock. There's a hunk of post that broke off. I really, really wish it would have just come up in one piece. When it breaks off like that, it just means there's more work. You got to keep digging around it. This is the moment of truth here. Now that that's out of the way, we can actually do some real work. We don't have to worry about digging around that post that's just rotted off in there. We're only going down right about 24 inches on these intermediate posts. The big post I put in that you saw first, that's a 3 foot, I think it was 3.5 feet is what I ended up going down on that one. But it's a much bigger post than it needs to be in there. There's really no weight being supported on this little post, so it doesn't have to go down super far. And we slap the post level on it to, make sure everything's nice and straight, and then just put the dirt back in the hole. This tamping bar was actually just super helpful. Just packing that dirt in there really tight, and that post is not going anywhere. It's stout. Big rock. And that post is done. And now that one is too. Here, Megan and I ran a string from one end of this fence run to the other end, just so everything is in a nice straight line. We'll install these boards. We're just reusing the same boards that were up before. The previous owners had horses, and this was good enough for them. And, like I said before, it's good enough for the cow. It doesn't have to be great. If we were putting the sheep and goat wire up, there would have been a lot more work, and we weren't ready to quite dive into that just at this point. Bonnie and Clyde are coming to help. I'm not sure they were supremely helpful here. They're fun to have around though.
Throw near side. Harris has it across the 35. First down to the 31-yard line. 5 more yards to stop the clock. Gordon making the tackle for Ole Miss.
Stop
And
it.
you got all 3 timeouts
Stop it.
still, so plenty
No,
of time.
stop it.
Moving on to the middle row. A lot of the same stuff here. Put a board up, screw it in, move on to the next one. Race goats.
Fast it is, and I knew it was going to be faster than Auburn's. And Auburn's is breakneck speed, and this is amazing. I'm just amazed that those 315-pound linemen can move that quickly to get up on the ball offensively. But Kentucky
We learned our lesson on that top row. These middle boards aren't really long enough to stretch between the middle posts. And so we can put it up first, throw them in, and kind of base everything else off of where that post or that board finishes.
When and how you want it from your Weather Edge team at WKDZ and WKDZRadio.com. Hi, I'm Kyle Macy. You're listening to UK Sports on 106.5 WKDZ.
We're down to the last board here, and that'll pretty much wrap this up for the time being. Really happy with how it turned out. Just reusing the boards that were already here, replacing the posts in the same holes they were already in. It was quite a bit of work, but we're happy to be done, and it's hard to complain with the results. We appreciate everybody watching. It's been fun. It's kind of a new experience to do these videos, but so far it's enjoyable, and we hope you'll continue to watch, like the video, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And just, like I said, thanks again. We appreciate it. Y'all take care, and we'll see you soon.